Today we're taking a closer look at a number of issues with the Councilman for District 8, David Alvarez, joins us this morning. David, thanks for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, first of all, let's go ahead and talk about water rates. You're the chair of the Environmental Committee. You know, recently you, along with the rest of the committee, forwarded a proposal to raise rates about 17%. Why is that?
Well, actually what the committee did is we said, send this forward to council, but we don't support the idea just yet. There's a lot of work to be done, and so some of the questions and my concerns are that the state is making us use less water, and that in essence is what's causing our water rates to increase. That doesn't make a ton of sense. The way that the rates are today, you cannot incentivize those who are saving water, and you cannot penalize those that are being wasteful in their water use. And that's the rate that I am encouraging the council to look at. How do we set the rate so that those that are saving water get to pay less for water, and those that are wasting water have to pay more for water? That's the kind of rate that I want to see, and the council will take it up on the 14th or the 15th of this month initially, and then a final vote would occur in November.
And so what do you want to tell San Diegans? Because a lot of people contact us. They have the same concerns here. We're saving water, but it seems it's not making any difference when it comes to our bills.
And this is, again, the concern is that the state is imposing this reduction of water use, which, you know, at the large scale, it's a good thing. We don't have as much water. We need to be careful. We need to save and conserve. That is the right message. But if that's what we want people to do, let's not penalize them for doing that. And that's in fact what this requires us to do, and it's because of state law, Proposition 218 specifically, that is making us do that. And so my interest is in how, first of all, can the state help us, since they're wanting us to do this, to do these reductions and causing the increase of water rates, people have to pay more even when they save. Can they help us and let us know how can we achieve a rate that is really fair for people?
So what would be the fair rate in your opinion?
The fair rate is that those who are saving, conserving, doing every effort, the small household, the small condos or apartments, people who aren't using a lot of water, the elderly, they should be paying less than those who have those expansive big yards and lawns who are, I believe, it's a luxury to have those things, and as every luxury, it should cost you a pretty penny, and right now, that's not the way this is structured.
With the way things are going, is an increase though unavoidable? If it's not 17%, might it be a little bit lower?
Well, that's what I'm hopeful, and again, you can structure it in a different way, and so my hope is that we increase it for those that are wasting water, and we at the minimum keep it the same for those that are being conscious, conserving, saving water.
Got it. Okay, so let's go from water here to the convention center. Recently, there was that study released that took a look at both of the different options here, the campus option and then the expansion of the convention center itself. What are your thoughts on the study here?
Well, you know, I think that I've always, in fact, a year ago, I released an op-ed piece in the paper here in town where I said we need to look at expanding the convention center in a non-contiguous fashion. Let's look at talking about a joint use stadium convention center. I still think that's something that's worthy of discussion, given that now it's been a failure what the mayor proposed, the $2 million that was unwisely spent that I voted against spending to look at Mission Valley. It's failed. We're not going to have an election because the charges aren't at the table. And so we just spent all this money and we're not going to be looking at Mission Valley. So now we have an opportunity. The mayor's talking about increasing taxes to build this convention center, to expand this convention center. Well, you know, let's find a way that maybe we not increase taxes and we still find a way to do a joint facility, a stadium, a convention center. Remember, both options are beneficial to the city. One makes a little bit more return, you could argue, but they both are good for the city. And I think it is good to grow our convention business here in San Diego. People want to come here and we got to be able to fit them in.
Your thoughts on the legal challenges, because we've been talking about that for years when it comes to the expansion of the convention center.
And that's really important because that can hold up everything, especially the option that the mayor wants to pursue, which is that expansion contiguous to the current site. That's got, well, first of all, when they first went through with this, I was the only council member voted against the illegal tax that they tried to impose on people, and we lost that. The city lost that, and again, you know, I did not support that. There's still a lawsuit out there on expanding and blocking the access to the bay. We've got to remember that for a lot of folks in downtown, especially and south of downtown, they don't have a ton of access to get to the Bay between the convention center and the Hilton. And so that's why that lawsuit is out there. And the lawsuit really could prevent that expansion from happening on that site. So what I think is, instead of trying to fight for years and years and years to make something, force something, let's look at the other option, the one that's non-contiguous, the one that's closer to the Petco Park, and let's see if that's something that can be worked out.
So that's what you're in favor for, the campus option.
I think that I lean in favor of that. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done, but I think it's smarter. I think it doesn't waste as much taxpayer money, and certainly doesn't get us caught up in this tangle of lawsuits that could go on potentially for years.
And I know you mentioned, of course, the stadium here. The deadline, we still have a little bit of time though, right?
Well, I mean, in order to get the issue on the ballot for January, which is what the city attorney and the mayor were proposing, we have to vote on this as a city council by the meeting Monday the 14th. And the mayor has said, and I think everybody acknowledges that if the charges aren't at the table, which they're not, and they're not coming to the table anytime soon, we're not going to have an election. And so that's the case. We're running out of time. If we don't vote on this by September the 14th, there will not be an election in January for Charger Stadium. And
I know I asked some of the other council members, do you think that deadline at all will be extended?
You know, oftentimes people like to extend deadlines. I think we're not getting anywhere. The Chargers are not at the table. We're not negotiating. There's no point in continuing to waste. We already wasted $2 million, unfortunately, on this. Why continue to go down this path? There's so many other more important needs in the city. Let's focus on that. And then if downtown, becomes an option, an alternative, then let's negotiate on that, and let's make sure the Chargers put up, a substantial amount of money. Let's not entirely foot the bill as the county and the city are proposing to use taxpayer dollars to pay for this. Let's do it differently. And
I know it always seems to circle around the headlines there, the Chargers, the stadium, over the past several months. How frustrating has this whole process been for you? Well, it was very frustrating to see that the mayor and most of the city council agreed to spend $2 million on an option that was clearly a failure. We've wasted that money. It's not going to be used for the intent that it was meant to be. And so that's frustrating, the fact that we can't have the leadership to bring the Chargers to actually negotiate as big cities are able to do. That's frustrating. So I wish we would be doing more, and I think we can, and I think we need to start thinking outside the box. And I think that, again, going back to this convention center expansion, that's an opportunity for us. Are we talking any type of solidified timeline here when it comes to anything in the future for this convention center? Well, the Chargers are, for the convention center is the appeals will go on for some time. I think to think that it'll be over in the next couple of months is naive. We've seen how this stuff can get dragged on and on and on. So I don't see we're going to have a solution, at least on the contiguous expansion, the one where the convention center exists today. This alternative of a campus or a satellite across the street from the existing convention center, I think we have a clearer path forward in terms of legal issues, because we don't have to deal with the Coastal Commission, we don't have to deal with that regulatory agency. It's more within our own control, and so I think it makes more sense to go down that path, and you could do that much sooner than having to spend time in the courts for years and years. Okay, got it. All right, let's focus a little bit more on your district here, District A. What do we have coming up? Any specific events, any projects you're working on? Thanks for asking. We have a fantastic district that I'm really proud to represent that goes from just the outskirts of downtown in Barrio Logan and Sherman Heights, and it goes all the way to the border with Mexico. And so it's very diverse in its people, in its type of neighborhoods that we have, including some agricultural neighborhood, which is very unique. People in the city of San Diego don't think that we've got that land, but we still do. The Bayfront, all sorts of things. So I would just say from the south coming north, the cross-border terminal, which people have heard about, this idea, not an idea anymore, but actually a reality in a couple of months, where you can go from this side directly into the airport in Tijuana, Rodriguez Airfield, to make flights available to Latin America, certainly Mexico and Asia as well. Really excited that's going to open up its doors in the next couple of months. I think definitely by the end of the year. That's coming up. We also have in San Ysidro the port of entry expansion. That's really increased our cross-border traffic, which is good for our economy. The more people are crossing and spending money on our side, that's really good. So that's what's going on down there. Then as we make our way sort of to the north, the south end of the Bay, San Diego Bay, Palm Avenue, Pond 20, really unique opportunity working with the Port of San Diego to
find a way to develop recreational space for people down in the South Bay, which they don't have a lot of access to. Working our way north into the older neighborhoods of downtown, like Logan Heights and Sherman Heights. Some repaving finally happened in Sherman Heights.
Sure, a lot of people
20 years
looking
in the
forward to
making.
that,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Barrio Logan is becoming a really exciting place with a lot of art and culture and new businesses. There's a renaissance going on, and everybody who I've talked to that knows that I represent that area, they say, gosh, I just drove by there. It's so amazing what's happened. And it really is. People, the arts and the culture is just thriving. Breweries coming in. It's just a dynamic place to be. I think it's going to really be tremendously different, and that's all happened in the last couple of years. So I'm really proud of all those things, and so we'll continue to work on all of that.
So a lot of positive changes, it seems like.
Yes, a lot of good things going on in our city in general. You know, obviously those major issues still remain. We haven't fixed our infrastructure problem. It's in the billions of dollars. One of the things that I really am disappointed in how the mayor wants to raise taxes to build the convention center, but refuses to talk about how do we raise revenue to pay for our infrastructure that's so poor in our city. And so that still remains a huge problem, priority, but certainly one that I want to continue to fight for and make sure that we address in the next 3 years that I have on the council.
Got it. Well, thank you so much, Councilman David Alvarez. We
Thank you for
appreciate
having
you
me.
being here. We'll be back next week with the Newsmakers here in San Diego. I'm Melissa Mecija, 10 News.